this is Angelique Gonzalez, and this is my Writing to Learn Journal number 9 on Chapter 9, Providing Time to Read. When, Where, and How. The TEK I have chosen for this week is a 4th grade social studies TEK, TEK 3A, History. The student understands the importance of the Texas Revolution, the Republic of Texas, and the annexation of Texas to the United States. The student is expected to A. Analyze the causes, major events, and effects of the Texas Revolution, including the Battle of the Alamo, the Texas Declaration of Independence, the Runaway Scrape, and the Battle of San Jacinto. Assigning reading. There are 2 different ways to assign reading, and those 2 ways include outside of class and inside of class. There are so many possible sub-activities one could use to make both main aspects successful when teaching about Texas history. So let's take a closer look on how we can assign reading inside and outside of class. Outside of class. The problem. When assigning reading as homework, it tends to get very tricky, especially to the students in their elementary to middle school years. Some students will complete the reading as hoped, while others typically will not. This is because of the lack of self-discipline and parental guidance at home, while in others, the reading can become just too difficult. Ways to make the homework work. Creating literacy guides. As students read outside of class, allowing them to complete or create a literacy guide can help tremendously. This will make the assignment act as more of an exercise and will allow them to get creative and or help them retain the information. Using the chosen TEK 3A, I could potentially assign students to read an article over the Texas Revolution or the Battle of the Alamo. But as they read, have them take notes or highlight the most important aspects of the reading, and then have them create a fun graphic organizer over their findings. Then perhaps I could have them present it to the class of their findings the next day. Audio recordings and videos. These will help the poor reading students in some cases. Audiobooks allow students to hear explicit sounds of letters and letter patterns that form words. Audiobooks also help students engage in text and gain exposure to more words, ultimately improving vocabulary, comprehension, and critical thinking skills. I could find different short audio clips to listen to of articles or videos to help those with lower reading skills to fully comprehend the idea of the Declaration of Independence. These options may not be very realistic sometimes, but they are great ideas to try when assigning reading outside of class. In class. Structuring units to allow reading in class. If a portion of the class time were allotted for silent reading of assigned material, the teacher would be in a position to offer assistance to students experiencing difficulties. By actively monitoring students as they read and complete their reading guides, a teacher could provide the kind of support not typically available at home, where parents often lack the time and experience to give adequate assistance. This is not to say that homework will not be assigned, but if reading is to be part of the unit, then it will make more sense to expect that some of the follow-up activities be completed as homework, that part of or all the reading be undertaken in class. Some ways you could structure reading time in the class is by making the reading an assignment and deciding how reading will be done. When deciding how reading will be done, there are several things that we can do for this, such as independent silent reading. This is perhaps the most natural alternative. Each child works individually in the allotted time to read the material and complete the reading guide. Some students may work under special conditions, such as recorded versions of the material or text containing marginalia. The teacher, however, should not be passive. Instead, active monitoring during which the teacher circulates and occasionally stops in order to provide help, hints, or praise is appropriate. If students are completing guides as they work, the teacher has a visible sign of where they are and how they have comprehended to that point. Another includes teacher read-alouds. For students not used to learning from text, an effective way of modeling what is expected is for the teacher to read a portion of the material aloud. It is important to consider carefully how much the material is read aloud. Reading in groups. Some teachers prefer having their students work in groups as they read assigned materials. Cooperative learning formats can be employed and the reading guide used as a focus of the group activity. A difficulty with this approach is that students read at different rates and with varying degrees of fluency. And lastly, round-robin oral reading. The age-old practice of having students read the text aloud in ordered turns is alive and is thriving in different content areas in classrooms. As Riddell 2007 puts it, round-robin oral reading is unfair to everyone. It's deadly dull for good readers, and a source of immediate abject terror for those students whose oral reading skills are not so good. It really does not belong in the classroom, he states. Page 50. The practice encourages inactiveness unless one's turn is approaching. It either delays the completion of content literacy guides or makes their completion awkward. It taxes the comprehension of the student read aloud, whose efforts are understandably directed at accuracy. In short, it is a practice fraught with problems, and any of the three alternatives just introduced will produce better results. As a teacher, I would use reading in groups for the selected take I've chosen. I would personally assign roles as we read in groups. For example, while we were reading perhaps about the Battle of San Jacinto, I would create a motivator role to make and ensure that all are encouraged to keep going and to help those who struggle. I would create a checker role to ensure that everyone's information is correct. I would assign a team captain to gather material needed and to keep the group in task, and possibly a watcher to make sure that everyone in the group is caught up and has had a turn to read and do their work. Major lesson formats. Successfully guiding students as they read assigned materials requires planning. Several options are available and they allow teachers to create a meaningful lesson. A great way of using reading material, create student background knowledge, and allow for great instructional objectives. Here are 5 lesson formats which vary widely in design and which offer great flexibility to teachers as they plan. The Directed Reading Activity, or the DRA, is a format of choice in organizing basal reader lessons. It is appropriate whenever a reading assignment is to be a focal point of the instruction. The assignment of a textbook chapter by a social studies teacher is a suitable activity for the DRA. The Directed Reading Thinking Activity, or the DRTA. This is a popular variation of the Directed Reading Activity, the DRA. This is a comprehension strategy that guides students in asking questions about the text, making predictions, and then reading to confirm or refute their predictions. The DRTA process encourages students to be active and thoughtful readers, enhancing their comprehension. When assigning students to create a DRA over the annexation text of Texas, one could tap into the student's schema by asking what they know about the Texas Revolution, what they think they know, and ask after what they know, going over the certain great battles of the war. KWL charts. The K is what the students already know. The W is what the students want to learn, and the L is what the students have learned. KWL is more student-centered by allowing them to widen their knowledge and deciding what information they will seek. KWL charts are graphic organizers that help students organize information before, during, and after a unit or a lesson. They can be used to engage students in a new topic, activate prior knowledge, or share unit objectives and monitor students' learning. Personally, I find KWL charts to be most effective when it comes to student-centered lessons. KWL charts are effective tools for engaging students in the learning process, helping them recall knowledge and tracking their learning progress. While they are often used to help students improve their reading comprehension, KWL charts can be applied to any topic or lesson, such as the importance of the Texas Revolution. Listen, read, discuss, or the LRD strategy. The LRD strategy helps students comprehend text. Before reading, students listen to a short lecture delivered by the teacher. Then, the students read the selection about the topic. During the discussion, students compare and contrast the information from the lecture with the information they read. Reciprocal teaching. Reciprocal teaching refers to an instructional activity in which students become the teacher in small group reading sessions. Teacher's role then helps students learn to guide group discussions using 4 strategies: summarizing, question generating, clarifying, and predicting. Often, students learn better from one another than the instructor. So, I feel as though it is a great strategy to use when teaching about Texas history as a whole. This has been my Writing to Learn Journal, Week 9, Chapter 9, over providing time to read.